Real, true education, not fake news. 28th of November 2020. You're welcome back. It's COVID update 19Z. It's a good day out, great day. I had to go to Dublin yesterday up to the planning office, and the traffic coming back was something else. And it's pitch dark, you couldn't see where you were going or anything. It's just unbelievable, but very bad. And I just happened to see in the papers in Eason's, two of them, the Guardian and the other one is called the Financial Times. There's the worst slump predicted in Britain in 300 years. The worst slump in 300 years. And also, a problem coming up against now we'll have to look at is the courts won't answer the phone. You have to go through some sort of an email process and everything. There's nothing being done to help people who are knocked out with this COVID by government. I mean, it doesn't change anything for people. Everyone's on about the vaccine, and at the moment I'm getting about a 70% approval rating for government policy, particularly from vulnerable people who believe that the two angles, don't forget there's two things, there's self-isolation, which I have no problem with for people who are vulnerable, but there's also shutting down the economy then where perfectly healthy people can't go out and have a drink, and you can't have hotels or anything like that. So one of the things about the vaccine is that normally a vaccine takes 10 years. It takes 10 years to pass and to be legalised. This one's been done in 6 months. And I'd be worried about a mutation of the virus, coronavirus, and that we'll have to be vaccinated every 6 months or something. That'll be coming now, and there'll be pressure put on people at work and everything to have the vaccine. There's pressure on them to do the test at the moment, and as I said, the test is not really a test at all. In England yesterday, in London, a woman in her 80s was arrested by police for protesting and failing to wear a mask outside the House of Parliament, and she was arrested and placed in a Black Maria in the back of a police lock-up van, and an MP complained about it. But that's the kind of thing this is doing, and we have the clergy here complaining about the way abortion clinics are open and you can't go to mass and all that sort of stuff. So I remember years ago, about 4 years ago, the Brauer ruled that you would declare a vehicle off the road. It meant you didn't have to go into the police, the Gardaí, and they never extended the time for introducing it. You had to have it in by a certain date. And I saw people 86 and 7 in the queue in Cavan County Council standing there for 2 hours waiting while it was processed. I mean, don't anyone ever think for one moment that the Irish government thinks anything about you, old or young. That's well known by people who deal with them. There's a hardcore of civil servants who treat you and I as complete and utter dirt. And I know that from years of dealing with them. I test them every way they go. They're not doing COVID-19 to help you. They're doing it to save face. Now, so one of the things I notice is there's no gangland killings. Not wanting them, of course, touch wood, but there has been a sharp decrease in gang members killing each other. And I'd say it's all the controls and all the Gardaí, and that shows you if you had a police state you could control things better, and that's how Henry VIII did it and Hitler did it. But do we want a police state? You see, the crime is a price you pay for living in freedom. Now the question will be next May, what will happen next May if there's a nice little lull around the Christmas and January, February, March, and it's rockets again in May? What are they going to do? Are they going to lock down again? What is their goal? I mean, this is a virus. This virus can look around in people and come out here and there. So they're printing money to pay for it, and how long can they keep printing that? That has never worked anywhere else. I mean, eventually our money becomes worthless, and I believe I can see increases in prices at the minute. I think I can see price increases. I got a few magazines in Eason's yesterday, and there was only 2 of them, another little small thing, and it come to €16, and I remember long ago that'd be about 9. But I get the impression that prices are rising. Now, will it stop the waste that I complain about? Will it change voting patterns? Will it stop them throwing money at these silly windmills? Will it stop the pylons, the North-South Interconnector, if they can't get the money? And would people, if they're really, really hurting, would they change their voting patterns? Like one of the things is, if 20% decided to vote against the government, or even not to vote with Sinn Féin. It would mean that a contrary fella or a contrary woman or some party that would be for a totally different non-corruption type of thing, Jim Doherty type of people, would have a chance to become TDs. I'm not advocating anyone in particular. The National Party and the Irish Freedom Party. You might get a few TDs if people get it tough enough, but they'll have to get it a lot tougher. And if the present nice situation where everything's nice and handy, hunky-dory, continues, well, that won't be any change because people's happy with the way it is, and government knows that. But the one thing they're weak with is the economy. Now, there's some sectors of the economy booming. Some sectors are booming, and other ones, like the tourist industry and the hotels, are completely ruined. And it's supposed to be that people are not spending on foreign holidays and they're not able to go around to spend their money and they're getting things done. I know that installations of household things, like people getting a new boiler in that was getting a bit wonky, and new fans for extracting air, all that kind of thing, that's going unbelievably well. There's a huge queue on there. The hardware shops are doing very well. The suppliers are doing very well. But it is also possible that it's the calm before the storm. And I give you a very good example of that. If you have a lawnmower and it's jucking along there and it's not too good, it's getting a bit battered, you're cutting away at the grass and it's about to run out of petrol. Just before it runs out of petrol, the petrol and the air gets mixed up, and you have a petrol enriched oxygen environment, and it sucks that in and you get a big rev, so you get boo, and all stops. So is it a big rev up just before the calamity that's coming? In 2008 things were flying and all of a sudden the word went out, hold on, the money stopped, it turned off the tap. So is it that, or will we just coast through it? And the government thought in 2008 they'd coast through it, and they were quite wrong. They thought that they would, and they didn't. And so, I mean, our future is in the hands of a bug. By panicking in the way we have, to the extent that we have, I don't agree with it, but I know that 80% of the people don't agree with me. But by panicking the way we have put our future in the hands of a virus that can mutate and do all kinds of things. And from my own view, bring it on, give me every type of virus and get it done with and get it over with. And that'll be the way I do it. But I know there are people who are vulnerable, but especially we could have got more intelligent ways of doing this. Anyway, this question is, will lenders lend? Everyone says, don't worry about it. There'll be plenty of money. There'll be plenty. We'll get plenty. But money has to be worth something. And if you're after killing off a big part of the economy, who gives it value? The money that you have is the value of the goods and services produced, and we're not producing goods and services as such. We're selling, a lot of things are being sold online. Stuff is coming in from Singapore, from China, from everywhere, and the packaging is horrendous. And it's Irish sellers that maybe sell let's say a chainsaw. They just sell you the chainsaw and you bring it away and that's it. If you buy that from China, you get it in a big box and there's all kinds of things. But it's the Irish distributor that has to pay for the recycling. Some people bring it out and burn it out in the field. Not supposed to do that. No. So will lenders lend? And what will happen if the thing collapses? What happens if there's a problem with money? Why would the supermarkets start running a charity? They're not going to charity. Will SuperValu and Dunstore run a charity? The minute the money dries up, they'll stop giving it. Where are the people going to go then when they get hungry? Well, they'll go to anywhere there is food. And that's the farmer. And so you have a problem there. So the Gardaí that are now trying to stop people spreading coronavirus could find them protecting the farmer, because it's come and take all my cattle and slaughter them, I'll not be able to produce beef and I won't be able to export, and that'll hit the export trade and hit the income that's coming in. So it also up around North Dublin they grow a lot of vegetables and all that. So what you could see there is gangs coming out and taking all. Who's going to stop them? I mean, if there's children dying. So it's not good that way. So if there's no money to buy food, there won't be food. The day of Irish people producing food is long gone. But in the time of the war, they had allotments up in the Phoenix Park, and you had to grow your own food. Well, that'll be some crack when they start the weeding with their fancy mobile phones and their designer outfits and their lovely accents. When they have to grow their own food, it'll be another day's work. So we could see food being taken away by force. I'm not saying it'll happen. I'm just saying, let's be honest about it. I mean, 300 years. You go back 300 years, the hardship that was in living and surviving was unbelievable, you know. And that. The other thing is, that's all my slides. We have a control freak governments everywhere. they've put out Trump, it appears, and Trump was for freedom and a wee bit of liberty. The present crowd won't want any of that, and Boris Johnson has gone very left wing. So they probably will go a bit like that. It's hard to know what's going to happen. I still make the point there that we're putting our future in a virus, in a wee bug, a little bit of fat, like, and it can behave any way it likes. And then they shut down. And I think what will happen is that this is the green people's dream come true. They've shut down the airlines and they've shut down the demand for fuel and all that. And it'll be very interesting. It doesn't add up in my senses. It just does not add up that you can print money. That's what Zimbabwe did. That's what they did in the Republic before Hitler. They printed the money. I saw it here. You can get away with it if you're very careful. You can get away with it, but this is unreal territory. They've gone down this road, and there's nothing I or you can do about it now. I don't think there'll be a revolution as such. I think that if it was an election in the morning in Ireland, you'd probably get pro-COVID lockdown people in. You might get a few. I think you get pro-COVID. But don't forget, if you get the man that has a family and he's into drinking and a good time and he won't give the wife money and he gets paid on a Friday evening at 5 o'clock and he heads to the pub and he's saying, oh, have a drink there, oh, you have one, go on, give it another one there, and she's at home with nothing, and eventually he spends all and he goes home to her with nothing, and that has happened. I know instances of where that has happened. When he's spending that money, he is having a good time, he's enjoying himself. And the people that are getting free drinks are enjoying themselves, but somebody else suffers. And it common sense tells me, and a good few accountants and economists say this, that this can't go on. But it's funny that there's no media thing about it, no media discussion about it at all. Just note there now that they've made Judge Wolf a Supreme Court judge. He's in there for life. He's the guy who broke the COVID rules. I'm not saying they did right or wrong, but that's what's happened there. And the RTE had a splash for somebody that retired, and most people say, she wouldn't blame somebody going away. But other people can't do that. If a driver over in Riley Brothers here, or Gypsum Industries, or Manor Farm Chickens retires, you can't have that. If you do have it, the guards will arrive and you'll be fine. So there's one law for one crowd and one law for another, and that's quite obvious. And also we have the problem about RTE and the news media. Don't forget, Gabe Byrne was a big name in the media in Ireland. And a good old character in many ways, and I liked him. He lost his shirt twice to shysters, conmen, and Mike Murphy lost his money twice. Once in Canada, he lost all he had. They get paid different to, or they're not just wages staff, they get paid in lump sums. But the thing about it is, none of them has shown any particular wisdom, and yet they're the ones that are deciding what's good for us. And all I can say is, oh, God help us. I mean, I wouldn't listen to them 1 minute. I have a complaint there now again, Joe Duffy. We'll see how that goes. So look at folks, I haven't told you much there. I've got a bit through, but anyway, we'll see you back for something else. It's still unreal times. The economic effects of this are funny. Negative interest rates are funny. There's a lot of people going to be in trouble very soon. How is a business going to do? What if somebody bought a pub now and they're shut down? Could they sue the state? Could they sue the state for shutting them down? Why could the state tell a supermarket you can keep selling and the publican you can't? So I would think that there'd be a case to be made there. I think also that the Irish courts would not acknowledge it, but I think somebody might take a case to the European Court of Human Rights. You're running your business down, you're suddenly told close up, they give you just a few pound, your whole business is ruined. Some people say you can build it up again. That's not that easy, and time moves on, and meanwhile what are you supposed to do? I think if the state tells you to shut down your business, the state has to pay you, and there'll be some crack when they get the bill for that, because that would run into billions and billions, run into 3 or 4 times the annual gross national product to do that. That would seem to be fair law to me. It certainly was fair law up to now, but as I say, judges here will go with the state, but there is the European Court of Human Rights, and there's a lot of conventions on this, and they've lost, they've often got it wrong, and when it goes to those courts, they get a different result. So we'll let you go on that, folks, and we'll see you back. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I have trouble uploading videos here, but I'm working around it, getting other people to do it for me, and they'll be coming up at different times. So look, we'll see you, and bye bye. Thank you.